the next thing on your list is the thing that stood out to me where I was like, how the have I not seen this? This looks crazy awesome. And I don't even blame you for not having seen this one, Julian, because I
ain't seen it.
Okay. Do you want to make a bet, Martin? Do you want to bet that Julian Green is going to look at this and be like, what the is that? But
I might surprise you.
Okay. If you've seen this, I will never make such a joke again. But the next movie on Martin's list is Rankin Bass's classic Mad Monster Park. Well, I'm sorry.
No.
You've seen it. Tell him what
We're going to be at the Broadway Comedy Club again.
But you had a decent list, Martin, of some horror movies that some of which I've never heard of. Really? And yeah, more than one. And one of them that you had there, I was like, man, I need to watch that ASAP.
Oh,
that I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but there was a name on there where I was like, how have I not seen this?
Huh, okay.
You know what I mean? But all right, let's get into Martin's spooky Halloween horror recommendations.
I'm sorry. I'm only doing that because I just thought of a movie I left off. And I was like, it's one of my favorite movies.
Well, go ahead and mention that one first. And we'll get it out.
I'm trying to remember. Is it Halloween themed?
Is it horror?
Oh, yeah.
That's good enough.
Okay. It's a movie called Mr. Sardonicus.
Mr. Sardonicus. Well, I don't have that pulled up. I can't spell it, but do you want do you want to tell the people about it really quick?
Yeah. It's an old black and white movie. It's a William Castle movie. And it's about a guy who it's in olden times, and he's got this domineering wife. Mm-hmm. He lives with his father lives with them, and she is just on his ass all the time, just constantly bitching him out, complaining about every little thing he does and about the father living there, mm-hmm. and how the father is always blowing money on lottery tickets.
Classic.
Yeah. And then the father dies.
Oh.
And they bury him in the backyard, and they realize that he had the winning ticket. Can't find it anywhere, and they realize they buried him with the ticket. and then the son is like, oh shit, well, we guess we blew it. And his wife is like, bullshit, get your ass out there and dig him up and get that ticket. And he's like, please don't make me do that. Here's a shovel, get out there.
Now for number 2 for Martin's spooky 13 horror movies.
I didn't get to like the crux of Mr.
Please.
Sardonicus.
Please.
Because he does dig up his father.
Mm-hmm.
And when he sees the corpse, his face goes into a rictus like this. And I guess, I don't know if he kills the wife, but she's dead, and he's gotten all this money from the lottery, and now he's a count who lives in a castle up on a hill and invites people there just to put them through psychological torture.
Wow. Okay.
But his face is frozen like this.
Okay.
The whole time.
See, I thought that was like the whole movie that you described.
No, that's just the setup.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't want to obviously like move on in the middle of it. I thought that was it.
And the thing is, William Castle was known for gimmicks with his movie. Mm-hmm. The Tingler, where he had seats set up.
I've heard
with
about
electricity
that.
hooked to them. So certain parts, you get a buzz.
Yeah. I remember I was talking about Crank 2 with Corey one day. Mm-hmm. And I was saying, man, the guy was getting really uncomfortable behind me when he was getting electrocuted, and he was stomping his feet and it was making my seat shake.
Oh, yeah.
And he said it was just like that movie, The Tingler.
Yeah. Well, William Castle did Mr. Sardonicus. And what happens is you get to like what is pretty much the end of the movie, where he's done all this to all these people. And then it stops, and William Castle walks out in the movie on the screen. And he says to the audience, he's like, now you've seen what happened. Now, how should we end it for this guy, this villain who's done all this? He said, now you all have cards I've given you. And then the theater passed them out. You walked in a red or a green card. And he said, so right now, if you want him to have a happy ending, hold up a green card. If you want him to go down, hold up a red card. And so everybody would do it. He'd be there on the screen going, okay.
Wow.
Okay. Well, there it is. And we'll play the rest of the movie. So the idea was that,
The audience was deciding.
what the audience was deciding. Now, in real life, they had shot one ending.
I know.
Damn, that's
hell
advanced.
no.
Yeah. But man, that would not go over well today. People would be freaking out.
Yeah.
But now on to number 2 of Martin's 13 spooky, scary Halloween movies. We got this movie called Grow Up, Tony Phillip. What is this one about?
Oh, this was actually made here in Austin by a young lady, Emily Higgins. She started making films when she was in high school, and then went on to kept doing them. She got a lot of backing from a lot of people in Austin, and started making features. This is, I think, maybe one of her last before she started making bigger features. But it's all about a young guy in his 20s who still likes to go out trick or treating. He's all about Halloween. And it's more of I would say a coming of age, but he's already past that age.
Yeah.
But it's a more like, hey, man, child, you got to grow up. But
Is this like a horror comedy, would you say?
yes, it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's not really even that much horror. It's just more about him being all about Halloween.
No, I like that. That sounds really interesting. But your next movie, number 3 on your list, this is actually, I would put this probably in my top 50 movies. And I know for a fact, Corey is a big fan of this movie. Number 3 on the list is The Devil's Rejects.
Yes.
Not even arguably, but definitively the best movie Rob Zombie has ever made.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some classic quotes in that movie. I love the script in there.
And it's got a genuine grindhouse kind of redneck porn feel to it that doesn't feel try hard. Mm-hmm. And I found it genuinely disturbing.
Because I have a pretty fun fact about the movie.
Please.
This is really niche, but do you know who the script supervisor for this movie is?
No.
The script supervisor is a man by the name of Sandy Schecler. He was the script supervisor for none other than Tommy Wiseau's The Room.
Oh, okay.
And that I think that's fascinating because it kind of makes me think, I mean, The Room, that's an accident. Maybe this movie also kind of
was an accident.
Yeah.
It could be because
it stands apart from all his other work.
It does. And it was like him doing this gave everybody faith, like, oh, I can't wait to see what his next one was. All right. Well, maybe that one went so good. But the next one, though, and then it's like took 2 or 3 before people were like, all right, I guess we're just not going to get another Devil's Reject.
You're just going to look into the camera and jerk off? Okay, I'm out of here. Have you seen that movie?
No. Keep moving.
Sorry. But the next one I haven't seen, but it's a pretty recent one from a friend of the show, The Black Phone.
Yeah. Our good friend Cargill, or C. Robert Cargill, was the writer on this. And so you guys have not seen The Black Phone?
I haven't seen it.
I thought so.
I thought so.
Yeah,
I thought so.
He's seen something. Tell us about it.
Well,
I went to a screening of it. That's why.
and it's recent. But man, it shows childhood in the early 80s or late 70s, in the early 80s. Mm-hmm. And man, it nails it.
I remember you saying that during the review. It's coming back to me.
It just got in a way that no film ever does. Mm-hmm. They always clean it up. But it really does show how it was for us back in those days, where you would just leave the house and go play, and there was no play dates, there was no parents watching you, there were no cell phones. It was your parents told you get out of the house, and you ran all over neighborhoods everywhere.
I feel like I'm born in 1991, so I feel like I was at the very tail end of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With this character, the grabber, it also showed like, there she goes again. It really does a great job of portraying the actual danger we were in all the time, where kids would get snatched, and it wasn't reported in the same way it is now. Now everybody's hyper vigilant now,
right? But it's about like children, being kidnapped. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Back to your list of scary Halloween horror movies. I actually was thinking, when I was looking at your list, that this was a different movie. I was thinking of The Gift. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really great one. I wouldn't really call that a horror movie, but you were talking about this movie called The Guest, another movie that I have actually never seen. So I'm curious what this is about.
I caught it at a Fantastic Fest. And it's Dan Stevens looking very much like Captain America, who comes home from the war and goes to live with this family, pretending that he's somebody that he's not, but he's actually a killer. And it's
maybe I've seen this.
And he ingratiates himself. And at first, it's almost like, all right, we know he's a psychopath, but he's doing things that help the family, like at school. And then, like, they got a big.
Also, he's really involved.
Yes, and they got a big Halloween prom thing that's happening.
Oh, okay, cool.
But then, like, you're like, oh, he's gonna be, a bad guy, but a good guy for them. Until no, he's not.
Well, that sounds really interesting, and I'm going to have to definitely check that one out. Moving right along here, the next one you got on your list is it's from people who I love who make movies. I think that they're some of the best. They've had a misstep here and there, but this movie, I was really glad that you put it on this list, and I'm almost 100% sure you've never seen this, Julian, but this is The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, which I think most people have heard of this at the very least. But do you want to give us a quick summary?
Yeah, I mean, Wallace and Gromit have been at it for a while, and their shorts are adorable, and so are their movies. But this was like the first of their movies I saw in the theater, and I thought it was flawless.
A lot of their work really comes across like that. I would say the movie about the lamb,
Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That one is just incredible. The soccer one, not so much.
Not as much. Not as much.
But I really like this Curse of the Were-Rabbit movie because it was something that it came out when I was a little bit younger. And when I first saw it, I was like, man, I like this dog and this guy when they go to the moon and they're eating cheese and stuff. But like this looks silly. And boy, is it great and silly. And I think that it's one of the more unique things that you got on this list. You ever seen Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Stop lying.
No, I'm dead, bro. I have, bro. I've seen that.
Okay.
Now, I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen them before.
Okay.
Sure. No, I'm just kidding. Next on the list, you got another stop motion movie, one that I know people love, but personally, I'm not actually that big a fan of. And this one is pretty recent, so maybe you've seen this one. But the next one on Martin's list is ParaNorman.
Nope.
So tell me, Martin, why did you include this one on your list?
You know what? I love what this studio has been doing, the Leica studio. I think it does I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the story behind it. I love the animation, and I especially like the twist at the end.
So do you prefer this over some of the other movies I think people would connect to this, like Coraline or something like, I think the other movie that Leica did that was like horror-ish was Box Trolls. Was that them?
That was them.
Yeah.
That was them. I think I like this better than Box Trolls.
Yeah, I'm kind of like indifferent to both of them. This one, it didn't jump out to me when I saw it. I appreciated the things it was trying to say, and like, because I believe that this might be the only stop motion movie I've ever seen where one of the characters is gay, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of like one of the twists at the end. But
yeah. Oh.
Well, yeah, that kind of bad.
Anyway, moving on. The next one, I chose the Japanese poster for it. It's the only one I did this because it was just so damn cool looking. I had to include it. But the next movie on Martin's list is Monster House.
Oh, yeah, Monster House. Yeah.
Okay, it's funny when you said stop motion, I was thinking, Monster House, but I guess it's more 3D animated.
I mean, is it?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's 3D. It's the ParaNorman stop motion Monster House is 3D. Yeah, and honestly, it's from way back when the 3D animation wasn't even that tight. But it's such a Spielberg story. It's you watch that, and if you go like, hey, Stranger Things, it's like, yeah, they pulled from this.
They did it first for sure.
Yeah, but, you got your kids in the suburbs who are going out on adventures on bicycles.
Right, yeah.
Halloween. But got great voice acting. Steve Buscemi and Kathleen Turner. And it's just for my kids watching this. There's a house across the street that was always in disrepair, and they were like, "Oh, that's the Nevercracker house. We can't go past that."
Yeah, I remember this. This is one of those movies that used to come on TV back in the day when we would be watching TV. The next thing on your list is the thing that stood out to me, where I was like, "How the have I not seen this? This looks crazy awesome." And I don't even blame you for not having seen this one, Julian, because
I ain't seen it.
Okay. Do you want to make a bet, Martin? Do you want to bet that Julian Green is going to look at this and be like, "What the f is that?" But
I might surprise you.
Okay. If you've seen this, I will never make such a joke again. But the next movie on Martin's list is Rankin Bass's classic Mad Monster Party. Well, I'm sorry.
No.
You've seen it. Tell
us what it's about. Yeah, exactly. So the next movie is Mad Monster Party, which is from Rankin Bass, the classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman. Thank you, poster, for keeping my notes close by for me. But tell me, Martin, what is this about? Because this looks so intriguing.
So before Rudolph and all that, Rankin Bass did this full-length movie. And Corey and I talk about this movie all the time because we were little kids when we saw it. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's kind of like Hotel Transylvania 1.0.
Oh, or 0.1 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Because it's all the Universal monsters getting together at Frankenstein's castle for a big party. And you see the one guy down there with glasses. He's like the one who's not a monster. Oh, also Phyllis Diller is there. Somehow she's a monster as well.
Wow, this is Hotel Transylvania, to a T.
Yeah. No, watching Hotel Transylvania, you're like, that's the same as. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's pretty much as I've once heard someone say, it's the same shit. But speaking of something that is not the same shit, this comes from a legendary horror series, the next movie on your list, Martin, but it's different than the rest of them. And it stands out, and fans still talk about it to this day. I'm talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we did that on I don't know if it was a retro review or a bad movie review.
You guys definitely did a retro review.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that was the thing, because this movie was always maligned because it didn't have Jason in it.
Mm-hmm. Or not Jason, what's his name?
Michael Myers.
Yes.
Yeah. But from what I understand, the idea was to have something different each time.
Yeah, and make it an anthology.
Yeah, and I remember when this was in heavy rotation on HBO, and I may have saw it every time it came on. And I always had a real affection for this movie. And even when we did the retro review, I'm like, yeah, there's goofy stuff about it, but I still really like it.
Yeah, it's one of those movies I haven't gotten around to seeing, but I always remember back in the day, co-host, aka Tony, back in the day, he used to sing the praises of this movie all the time. And just looking at the poster, I can see why. It's got his name written all over it.
Yeah, it's just you know what? It's something different. And matter of fact, it's something different in a way that's like, man, nobody's even really copied this again.
And unfortunately, my stupid fingers aren't used to this keyboard, and it let out the cat out of the bag of the next one. Oh. The next movie on your list is one of Jordan Peele's of his 3 movies. I forget what he calls his trilogy, so to speak. No. But the next movie on your list is Us, something that I think we've all seen.
Yeah.
He looked right at me.
He's looking at you like, come on, Julian, you got to come through for me on this one.
You've seen this, right? Please. Like, I know I used the Mondo poster, but you've seen it, right? I'm just kidding, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what? Us is cool because it's the family and it has the mystery It is one where when you get to the end with the mystery, the more it gets explained, the more you go, wait, what's going on now?
Yeah. It's something
like, I don't think I really understand. I don't think this makes sense.
Yeah.
But that said, everything leading up to that is really suspenseful.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my experience watching this one the first time I saw it. But the more you watch it, I feel the way I like to put it, because it uses yarn in the movie, it kind of unravels like a ball of yarn, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, it's like, well, that's weird. What the hell is that? Who's making these clothes? You know, like
How far does this matching go? And it's one where I saw the guy Evan Williams. He said like, and then all your film geek friends will say like, no, you understand it was a metaphor for this that you didn't get, and it's like, I get it. It just doesn't quite work. But you know something? You talk about something living rent free in your head. At the end of the movie, everybody's doing the Hands Across America, and that was something I grew up with. I remember when that was a thing, which I completely forgot about. So it's interesting for him to bring that up. But the song La Fleur that he plays during that sequence, that might have been a song I had heard once, and now I go back and listen to that song all the time. Just even time you bring up Us, the song starts playing in my head.
I actually really, really enjoyed it. Like the actors.
Oh yeah.
I was like, holy
amazing.
shit.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, they have to play two different characters. I'm like, they're killing it.
yeah,
Even
there's
like,
some memorable lines for sure.
oh yeah. What was that song that was in the trailer?
I got 5.
Oh,
Yeah. I
that's
loved
right.
what Jordan Peele did with that, man.
Yeah.
It's like that's the only way I hear it now.
Yeah.
But,
Right here.
Yeah.
Slow down. I got I'm with you, man.
But it was it's not my favorite out of his 3 movies, but I still loved it a lot.
The final movie on your list is something that you mentioned maybe a week ago when we were talking about a certain TV series, Jack Black's Goosebumps, or Goosebumps with Jack Black.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, that's not one of my favorite. You know what? When you asked me about Halloween movies, that was the first one I came up with, and I just started stacking the others on. And then if I had really stopped, I probably would have gone like, all right, Goosebumps, you don't need to be here.
But we're going to keep it there because 13 is a spooky number.
Fair enough. And, you know, it's Halloween themed, and that's what I was thinking about. And I was like, yeah, that's right. Was it Ken Jeong who played the neighbor who was decorating his house for Halloween? I might be confusing that with a different movie.
Yeah, I don't even see him on the poster, but that sounds right.
Yeah. But you know what? It was a fun enough movie.
Yeah, and they got these gnomes that are basically like gremlins. I thought that was pretty fun. I mean, there's lots of movies that do stuff like that, you know, that just imitate gremlins, but it can be fun. And I think that's one of the good examples. I'm not crazy about the sequel. I don't remember much of it.
Oh, but yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they made 2 of them.
Oh, that's right. They did. I did like the first one much better than the second one.
Yeah, the first one stands out a whole lot more. The second one just kind of felt like Slappy going, I made money. We're doing that again.
Yes, it did. Yeah, because with the first one, there was vision. It was like, hey, we're taking you through something. There's a mystery here. Yeah, the second one is Slappy's just like I'm back.
Slapping you across the face.
With my wooden dick.
But now that we've gone through Martin's horror Halloween recommendations, I thought that I would throw in my 2 cents of some movies that came to mind that I really love, because I'm a big fan of horror movies, and I got some that I just want to throw in there and mention because I feel like to not mention them is sacrilegious. But the first one I want to mention is something I saw when I was in college that scared the shit out of me in a classroom, so I knew it was good because I was in a public safe place. At least that's what they tell you in the US, but that's a whole other thing. But the first movie that I want to mention is Ju-on the Grudge, the original version of The Grudge. Man, this movie scared the shit out of me when I saw it.
I see that on a lot of lists.
Yeah. Have you ever seen it before?
I have not.
It's one of those movies, man, that is this and the second, like at least, man, more than half of the movies that I'm going to mention, they're not that easy to get a hold of, unfortunately, because they're foreign films. But I really wanted to mention them. But what I'm talking about is the Grudge. This is the original movie that The Grudge went on to be based about. And I believe it's about a guy trying to sell a house, and there's something that went down in the house, and there's this ghost that's living there, and it's this little child, and it's pretty scary to say the least. Have you seen this? Have you seen The Grudge? Oh, okay. I thought maybe you might have seen The Grudge, but okay. The next one, I will never forget seeing this again in a classroom. And this one actually has a pretty good American remake, but the original Ringu. I remember watching this movie and just immediately being hooked.
It looks like you just showed the same movie.
What do you mean?
They look the Grudge, and then the look at that.
I mean, I guess, in Japan they find eyes pretty scary. In the U.S. we're pretty obsessed with animatronic eyes.
One eye and stringy hair. Come on.
Yeah, I guess so. But the thing that I wanted to say about it's funny, I didn't even realize that, but you're 100% right that it's all focused on the eye. But this movie right here, the way that it starts, I'll tell you, is it's something that felt relatable and different at the same time. Because I don't remember the way that the remake starts, but the way that I remember this movie starting is the father, his eyes rolled back in his head, a knife, blood on his hands, and the mom is holding the kids in the corner of the bathroom. Mm-hmm. So arguably one of the scariest rooms in the house, and they're cornered by the protector of the home. So I highly recommend. It's people in the chat are saying relatable, but it's it's relatable for everyone, because it reaches into that nuclear family, that most people grow up with. But yes, it's not totally relatable where you have like this tape that's haunting you. But Christopher Nolan made a pretty good remake of that one, which I'm sure you guys have seen. The Ring.
Christopher Nolan?
That was Christopher Nolan, is it?
Yeah, Nolan did that one. Unless chat, correct me, am I wrong? I'm pretty sure that Nolan is the one who did that. That was before The Dark Knight. I believe it was like.
Please look
Christopher Nolan. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Sorry. Gore Verbinski.
Okay.
I was about to say. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that it was someone who was considered an auteur, but wrong one.
Okay, I know so many people who are Nolan fans or freaks, and when they list his movies, they never put that one in there.
My mistake, wrong name. I meant Gore Verbinski.
All right.
This is another one that I saw in one of my horror film classes. This is a movie called Pulse, which, just to give you the pitch for this, I think this is Korean horror. Maybe you've heard of this, Martin. I see they want to say something.
Is this something where a pulse goes out and it turns everybody homicidal?
Not quite, at least the way that I remember this. I've only been able to watch it once or twice because I saw it in a horror film class. But basically the way that I would describe it is imagine ghosts on the internet and infiltrating your computer in your home through the internet and extrapolating from there.
Okay.
It's a scary one. I really remembered watching it and just thinking, man, this blew me away. I was expecting something, but this really stood out to me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my last one that I wanted to recommend, it's a part of a very rare genre. Someone is saying that the movie you're thinking of is The Signal.
That is, yes.
But the final one that I want to recommend, it's a rare example of a movie that is a documentary that is 100% horror, and it's scary as hell. I'm talking about Beware the Slender Man, where they interviewed these. If you don't know the story, these two girls were infatuated with the Slender Man lore. They must have been like under 12 years old, like small kids. And they brought someone out to the forest to sacrifice her. And they stabbed her like dozens of times. And thankfully the little girl lived. But the movie shows you all their interviews. And like just these little girls sitting there going, yeah, so like, me and Slender Man, like, we talk, okay? Like, I'm not crazy here. Like, he asked me to do this. Like, I'm not in trouble, am I? And it's just haunting to hear that from these little girls.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something that will really actually scare you, because it is a true story, this is something to look into. I always recommend this whenever I tell people to check out a horror movie.